This week we're talking about morbid curiosity games. Those games you've always wanted to try, but haven't had the guts to do so. From the broken, baleful to the downright bad, we'll discuss them all on this week's HGO podcast. Hey, how's it going everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the HGO podcast. One of your hosts, Ethan, and joining me, as always, is my good friend Hunter. Hey Hunter, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing just swell.
I would just like to point this out, because I don't know when this episode is going out, that the Christmas decorations, it's not bad luck, it's still before Christmas when we're pre-recording this one. This is a pre-record. Shock, spoiler, if you're wondering why we're wearing the same clothes as we did like 4 weeks ago. Oh no, the horror, Hunter. The horror, we're having a bit of a break. Can you believe it?
I always wear this, so...
Yeah, I know, right? It's a bit more obvious for me than it is for you. I knew I should have changed the hoodie colour beforehand, but alas, we don't have time for that, Hunter. We're here to talk about morbid curiosity games. Those kinds of games that are either, you know, they've gone down in infamy, or maybe you see them in a negative light that you just haven't had the guts to pull the trigger on. What could they be? We're going to talk about them all this week. Should be interesting. I've got a couple of fun ones here. You know, we've got the downright bad. We've got the ones that I think I will personally disagree with, to those that I think will be bad for myself spiritually. So we'll talk about them all here, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, this is the HGO podcast. We're here every Monday at 12 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. UK time on podcast services everywhere and at youtube.com/hot gamers only. As always, if you like what we do, check out the website at hotgamersonly.com, the YouTube at youtube.com/hotgamersonly, and hey, leave us a positive review on podcast services everywhere. You can find us on literally all of them. Just search for the HGO podcast or Hot Gamers Only. We'd really appreciate those 5-star reviews. We'd really appreciate your likes, your comments, your subscribes, all of that. I'm just doing the general shills today because, like I say, we're having a little bit of a break in January, so I don't know what we're doing. We could be doing other stuff. We're probably working on other projects at this point. I don't know what's happening. Check the website, check the YouTube. I don't know. That's future me's problem.
It's true.
But yeah, we're just going to go straight in to the main topic of the show. Hunter, why are you making us do this?
So, yeah, the whole impetus for this one is just every once in a while there will be a game that it's not even so much that I hear it's bad, it's oftentimes just that I heard about it before it came out, or years ago in some cases, and then just never heard anything again. And it's like, something about you compels me, but I've never been in it enough to pull the trigger on playing it, because oftentimes you'll be like the most it's probable that you'll be the most whatever game to come out.
Not even that. Like I say, sometimes it's just like, it could be that the game isn't, you know, it just is what it is. It's just like the idea of it is like, I'm interested, but also the idea I just detest the idea of it as well. You know what I mean? Where it's like, it could be the most perfectly fine and functioning video game ever made, but there's something about it that is like, yeah, I can see the appeal, but I also feel like you're going to offend me on a personal level. So yeah, it's an interesting one. I'm gonna pass the baton to you first, let you set the tone, and then we'll take it from there.
So the first game on my list is kind of the one that I pulled all of my descriptors for, is Dirge of Cerberus Final Fantasy VII.
Lovely.
I only remember this game exists because of the commercial that I saw when I was in like second grade. It had a cool song in the background, and like in just like it was years ago at this point, but you know, in my adult life, I've never heard anyone outside of myself bringing it up ironically talk about it one way or the other, as far as like, so you know, I've never heard that it's a comically bad game. I've never heard that it's a hidden gem or anything like that. It's like a third person shooter that was made in 2006, so I'm sure it's at best fine and at worst hideously boring.
Yeah, I mean, that's like, the spin-off Final Fantasies don't always have the, most glowing of reviews. And this one definitely, I feel like, is in the lower half of those, even
Yeah, like, I'm
those.
sure the reviews at the time, I'm pretty sure, lean more on, like, the negative side or, like, the
Yeah,
middling side, but, it's one of those things where it's like, I don't even trust when reviews say that stuff these days half the time, so, like, I
true.
still kinda wanna know for myself just
Yeah,
because.
totally. I see that. It's Yeah, it's like, with the remake trilogy and all that jazz, me coming to terms with, will I ever go through the spin-offs? Will I ever play the original Final Fantasy VII? And, the closer we get to the end of the trilogy hunter, the more I'm like, I might play the original Final Fantasy VII one day. All these spin-offs, though, straight in the bin. Not having the time for that. You know what I mean? It's like, this is what I should have done with Kingdom Hearts like 5 years ago. You know what I mean? 1, 2, 3, done. You know what I mean? Like, there
I
you
mean, I
go.
agree, but also Crisis Core is alright.
Yeah, I
I'm gonna put
know,
that
but
one out there.
also, I'm sure it's also a good YouTube video. You know what I mean?
It's
Like,
only,
I'm
like,
sure.
6 hours if you play the main story.
Dude, I'm sure Proficia Gaming or whoever has got a 6-hour cutscene only YouTube video for me to
Uh,
peruse, so I don't need that. Um, but hey, I wish you Godspeed, Hunter, and I'm gonna, you know, I'm gonna provide the yin to your yang right there, dude, because you love Final Fantasy, don't want to delve into the depths of despair that is Dirge of Cerberus. I'll match you on, dude. As a massive fan of Persona 5, dude, Persona 5X, the Phantom, whatever it's called, dude, the
oh,
gacha
yeah.
game. Um,
The cell phone game with the asset flips.
yeah, with the Steam version or whatever, like you could put any gacha game in here, right? Where it's like, there's always the curiosity because there's always the part of me that asks, why do these people like doing repetitive tasks? Are they okay? You know what I mean? Like, why are you coming in for your dailies? Why, when
Yeah.
you've finished the story content that's available, when you've explored all of Tevat, when you've explored all of Shibuya, I guess, for Persona, right? What's keeping you coming back? Is it really just, oh, I really want the JPEG of the cool slash hot character? Is that really what is that really what you yearn for? Like when you're playing
It's, like,
Genshin or Persona
genuinely
5X?
unfathomable to me too is the thing, like, I couldn't imagine being that
Yeah,
person.
that's what like I just don't get it. I've tried Genshin Impact in the past and I played it. We've been doing this podcast for so long, ladies and gentlemen. We were here before Genshin Impact.
Oh
Um
god, you're right. We did 2 different episodes dedicated to, like,
yeah,
a year or 2
the
later
launch
because Kyle
the
played it.
we did 3 Genshin episodes.
Oh my god.
Launch year 1 and year 2, and then we gave up because even Kane had enough of Genshin at that point. I'm like, fair play, mate. I would have given up. I played it for like 5 hours. I was like, hey, this is pretty cool. I could see myself getting into this. Thank God I stopped. I don't regret that. But there is the part of me that's like, with Persona, I tend to try every spin-off. I try to, I'll give everything a little bit of a go, even if I'm not. This is the one where I'm like, no, because it's
Yeah, yeah.
not because I don't think the gameplay could be good, because I'm sure the gameplay is fine, because it's probably just Persona gameplay. I like Persona gameplay. That's pretty fun. But I just think that it'll annoy me on every fundamental level. You know what I mean? It's like, I think the
Yeah.
story will annoy me. I think all the collaborations will annoy me. I think having random people who are like, oh yeah, here are the Phantom Thieves, and here are the knockoff, Don Quixote version Phantom Thieves who have
Yeah,
just gone
everyone
to the shops
like,
and have
the fact that
dressed
every
up.
character in that game would look like you have a Persona 5 character creator and you just hit randomize for
Yeah,
every
yeah.
character is what would really get my goat. Because
And
I
then
sit there and look at, like, in the trailers, I'm like, it looks okay, I guess, but why do all of the characters look wrong?"
totally. And then it's like the worst part is, you know, again, you've got all these character creator default Derek looking weirdos, right? You've got all these terrible mechanics. You know, you've got this daily pull back in. Come on in, spend a little bit of money. What's the worst case scenario, Hunter? I end up spending money. That's even the worst part. So it's like I don't even want to tempt fate. So I'm just gonna not even engage. I'm just gonna ignore it. I'm gonna sit here patiently for Persona 4 Revival and Persona 6 like a normal freak, and I'm not gonna bother touching Persona 5X with a 10-foot barge pole. I think that's probably for the best. Anyway, you're up.
Yeah.
Tag, you're it.
This one came to mind. I didn't even have this written down, but it still kind of percolates in my head in the same way. You could argue that Danganronpa itself is a morbid curiosity, but that stupid spin-off.
You have already. I'm just putting Danganronpa as a tag because you've already taken a joke away from me. There's one I've already played. It is Danganronpa because it is morbid curiosity. It's like, do you want to play one of the most annoying murder mysteries of your life with one of the worst gaming communities of all time with the most annoying voice cast ever created? And you end up going, yeah, kind of. I kind of want to. I kind of want to see the trailer.
Did you like it in the end? Yeah, kind of.
I've never finished a video game and gone to the end of it and gone, I'm not doing that again. And then 3 months later going, I guess it couldn't hurt. Couldn't do it too. Time. You know, Danganronpa is 100% that series of morbid curiosity. Perfectly describes it. And then even then, you've got 2 spin-offs where you've got the stupid board game one, the Ultimate Summer Vacation one. Couldn't care about that.
Oh, yeah.
Do you want to just hang out with these nerds when they don't kill each other? No, I'm good. And then you've got that shooter one where apparently the story is horrible.
Yeah, that's the one that came to mind when I brought this up, was the goofy shooter with genocide
Ultra Despair Girls or whatever it's called. Yeah.
And like, it's never been offered to me for free, I think is what stopped me. If it was ever a plus game or something and I had a spare like 4 hours or however long it is, I would possibly pull the trigger. But
dude, I'm telling
you, I can't fathom
now,
spending any money on it. Is the thing.
As somebody who bought the complete pack of Danganronpa on Steam, this was before the summer camp one, so I don't own that. But it had Ultra Despair Girls in it. I genuinely ended up paying about 70 cents for that Ultra Despair Girls or something. It worked out like that, where it was like, you know, buying it all in the bundle, it was basically free. And even as someone who does still own that on Steam and has played every other mainline Danganronpa game, I will not touch that game. I refuse to touch that game. All I've seen about that game are like the reaction videos of like, I don't know if you've seen, but there's like a really famous Let's Play of this game where the thumbnails are just him getting even more and more like angry about how awful the game is. Like, it's just from a story level, like it's apparently an awful story. And, you know, the characters do some really like bad stuff, like where it's like stuff like, it was like, even Danganronpa fans are like, I think this is a bit too much. And if they're saying that, then you're like, okay, maybe I should stay away from you.
Yeah. And to another extent, I think all of the non-Danganronpa projects that have percolated into existence since V3 came out also count as morbid curiosities. That's why I picked up Master Detective Archive. That's why I have 100-line Defense Academy on an Amazon list to tell me when it goes on discount.
Yeah, it's the same way how with Danganronpa 2x2 next year is like, that's a day one because I'm not missing how they messed that up and what the heck it is. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not, you know, I'm going to play through all of it and then I'm going to play through the original remake version of the original bit again just to make sure they haven't changed any of that, because knowing them, they've probably changed that as well. It's just like,
oh yeah, there's just some new content in the original version.
Dude, that's what's going to happen. It's tinfoil hat time. This is the tinfoil hat time, Hunter. We've already done 2 × 2 = 4. We've already gone through that little brainwave of a thing on a previous episode. But my new one is, people are going to be so focused on the new story, they've completely changed the old one and nobody notices for like 3 days.
Oh, that'd be so funny.
But yeah, definitely. Danganronpa 100% is, that game franchise. I 100% agree with you. And I can bounce this one even forward, dude. Another game series that absolutely same creator as well. Zero Escape is a morbid curiosity of mine because it's like that to
Oh
me
yeah.
is like, what if Danganronpa, but it's not funny because it's sore? And I'm like, I don't know if I can stomach a Team Zero kind of game without the humor. You know what I mean? It's like the kind of
Yeah.
goofiness and the awfulness of it is kind of what makes like Danganronpa and AI the Somnium Files special, is because you laugh with it and you laugh at it. Whereas if it's just the murder and the gore without the goofy comedy, I don't know if I like it that much, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah, yeah, I know what you mean. And like for me, it's always been that it seems like the mystery of what's actually happening is always less in focus than just how get out of room.
Yeah, I think the main culprit is, I've heard there's people that really love 999, there's people that really love Virtue's Last Reward. I think the main one for me is Zero Time Dilemma here that kind of fits into this morbid curiosity, is because I've watched Sam play roughly an hour of Zero Time Dilemma, and I hate to judge a book by its cover, i.e. a game from the first hour of it, but from the first hour it looked like the worst
It
video
wasn't
game
a
I've ever
very
seen
good
in my life.
impression.
It's one of the worst video games I've ever seen in my life. Like, I understand that they're doing that whole thing where it's like everything's out of order and everything's, out of time. You're watching scenes in different orders. And I'm like, this is doing absolutely nothing for me. Like, the animation is terrible, the voice acting is terrible, the music, it doesn't really hit, the game almost looks like, it's built with Unity or Unreal store assets. It looks very kind of, it's almost got an uncanny valley look to it because nothing looks like it was made for the game. um the models look like they're ripped straight off of like the PS2, which is an insult because I know the game was originally a Vita game, and I'm like, the Vita can handle more than the PS2. It's pretty good. Um, but yeah, it's just the idea of having to play one of those video games and not having the kind of, the goofy, or the goofy writing and the silly characters. It just, I'm not a huge Saw guy, even at the best of times. Like the idea of someone being stuck in like a even a Danganronpa, like a murder game kind of scenario, doesn't do anything for me. With no humor whatsoever and no stupid teddy bear and no, pink blood. I don't know if it's for me, Hunter. I don't think it will be. But, you know, maybe one day I'll try. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Uh right, Hunter, you're up.
I got sent to the zero time dilemma.
I know you did, but don't worry, I can talk for both of us. You're up, buddy. What's next?
Oh, all right. So the next one I got here, this one was born out of just kind of something, an amusing interaction that happened earlier this year. This game is called Chaos Legion. This is a very niche Capcom action game from the early 2000s that I saw like an advertisement for when I was younger, and then saw a video at some point later in my life talking about it. And earlier this year, one of my friends was like, "Hey, anyone remember this game?" And they just kind of described part of its general vibe, and I was like, "Was it this?" And it was. I was like, "Oh man, look at me go!" But anyway, Chaos Legion, as it is Capcom just trying more action stuff like they did with Onimusha and Devil May Cry, and to an extent that did not stick with this one. Essentially, the whole kind of vibe with the gameplay is you have these extra little minions that you're using to do your attacking for you in a lot of cases. And it just seems like overall that gets repetitive really quickly and that kind of thing. But I still kind of want to play it just for like just for the vibe, I guess. I don't know. This is one of those things. I like the goofy early 2000s trying too hard vibe.
I mean, Capcom did a lot of that in that era. It's, they were in they were very much, and this is the PS2 generation in a nutshell, right? It's just throwing stuff at the wall and seeing if it sticks.
Yeah.
And it does mean a lot of these publishers have a lot of stuff that they threw at the wall, and it didn't just stick, Hunter. It flat out bounced off and hit them on the head. Like that was like it
Yeah.
did. It was, um, for Capcom to not give something a second go is actually, especially in that era, quite rare. So,
Yeah, it's impressive to some extent because it is like the only one as far as
yeah,
I am aware.
yeah. Um, so yeah, I could. But you see, you're not fooling me though, Hunter. You're saying Morbid Curiosity. You're like you'll play that one day. That's up your alley, dude.
Yeah, that's the thing is like
You'll get into that.
I looked it up after the interaction I just mentioned. I'm like, "Oh, it's only $20 on like eBay. It's not something that's super niche and expensive like a Silent Hill game that I actually want to play,
Yeah, yeah.
you know? So I'll just play it one day, like eventually just because, and probably not, I'll probably think it wasn't very good, but I kind of it comes off like Capcom's version of the bouncer or something.
Nice. Don't you love those though? It's like you mentioned. It's like when you were younger or whatever, and it's like I still have games from my childhood where I'd go around to somebody's house and they'd be playing. There'd be a random game that we were playing, and I probably played it for 5 minutes. And I still don't to this day remember what those games are. I've got images in my head, but I don't know what they are. There are that many PS2 games that
There were
it could
so
literally be
many,
anything.
man.
It like in my head, I'm like, I think it was the Gauntlet game on PS2. I think it was Gauntlet, but I don't know. It could be any medieval
Yeah,
kind of top-down kind of hack and slashy
yeah,
kind of
it
game
could be.
because there were so many of them in that day. So I'm like, hey, maybe one day. But
There were a lot.
the memory is good enough, Hunter. Sometimes the memory's good enough. Um, Here's one that's not particularly a bad game, but let me explain. Let me, Hunter, I'm pretty big into um the muckabout genre. I love my Animal Crossings. I love my Stardew Valleys, I'm sure if I played Dave the Diver, I'd have a flipping good time.
Oh
Um
yeah.
One that I've never played, always had a morbid curiosity, and there are many reasons why I won't. The Sims.
Oh yeah.
And there's a couple of reasons
I've
why
got
I
a
put
friend who likes these.
yeah, that I'd class as morbid curiosity. One is because I feel like every single person that plays The Sims is a psychopath. And I mean that in the most loving way, but all I ever hear about is, oh yeah, I used to play The Sims when I was a kid. I used to make people like that were in my life, and then I'd drown them in the pool, or I'd make them, I'd lock them in the house and see how long they survive. And I'm like, crazy, but okay. I respect it. I respect the kind of graft. I too used to make people in Tomodachi life. It happens. You do that.
You see, the
Um,
thing that throws me off is my friend who plays this will he naturally does make an effigy of me that
yeah,
is incapable of replicating me because Sim's character creator on the base level does not have the means to make me. But and then
yeah,
instead of doing hilarious psychopathic actions like that, the character he makes that functions as me just lives their life.
yeah, yeah,
And I'm put off by that. I'm like, what do you mean? You just why? For what purpose?
yeah. But yeah. So the whole idea, I don't ever get The Sims. I've not played it to the point where it's like I don't know what the overall goal is. Just live your life or whatever. That doesn't sound interesting. I don't want to roll into the kind of like I say the psychopath kind of tendencies of let's build a big pool of no ladders and chuck Hunter in there. I don't want to play that game, I don't want to stoop to that level. Then there's just the idea of what if I do really get into it? Because have you seen how many DLCs they release for these games?
There's
Like it's
so
like
many DLCs for The Sims 4.
6 million DLCs released all the time. It's just like the constant barrage of DLCs, and I'm like, oh, I must do that. I must. It just seems like a massive sink. It seems like if once you're in, you're kind of in. It feels like it's almost like a Destiny or a constant live service of just constantly having to keep playing it. And then also on top of that, now if I ever was, you've also got EA's recent buyout and, who now
Oh
owns
yeah.
them and the future of that franchise because of inherently what it is. So it's like there's so many
No, I didn't
things
even think about that. I
spinning
didn't
in
even
my
think about
head.
these games.
Yeah. So there's so many
Yeah.
things where I'm like, dude, it's like I feel like I've definitely missed the golden era of what The Sims is because most people will probably say that's like The Sims, whichever one they grew up with. But I've always had a
Yeah.
fascination with it. It's just like it's the one that got away, Like I say, I love an Animal Crossing, I love a Stardew Valley, a Harvest Moon, I love that kind of even SimCity. I played SimCity. I like SimCity quite a bit.
Hmm.
Roller Coaster Tycoon. I love all these kinds of games. It's just The Sims itself specifically never got into. And probably for the best because I probably would have done some heinous things to my friends.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, what have you got, Hunter?
All right. My next one here is Alone in the Dark, and more specifically, the one that came out
The
just
new one with like
a
David
year,
Harbour in it.
yeah, like a couple years ago. That you know is first of all under the THQ Nordic umbrella, so you're already starting at like a very low ceiling most of the time with those. And then
Who was the other person
in
in it?
general,
Was it David Harbour and
remember.
what's her name? What's her name? Princess Peach and Anna Taylor Joy.
Yeah, yeah,
What
that's
weird? What? Where did THQ Nordic get that money? And then why were they like, "That's what we must do"?
yeah, it's weird, right? Because it's one of those things where I've never even played the original Alone in the Dark, which is where people would
Wait, no,
say
it's
like
Jodie
the
Comer.
series
It's Jodie
probably.
Comer. It's not. Yeah, it's Jodie Comer.
Oh,
That's who it is. Remember now. That's why
okay,
it is. I'm getting
but yeah,
my blonde-haired actresses mixed up. I apologize. But yeah, Jodie Comer.
like people would probably most people would probably say Alone in the Dark was like good for one game and then very quickly tapered off. And I've
Mhm.
never even played that original one, but I don't know, something about the bringing it back to try again. It had my fascination at the time, and it's been given to me on Plus. But at this point, I've
Of course it
just
has. Of
not had
course it
the
has.
yeah, yeah, it's the THQ way.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
um I've just not had the time to actually give it a whirl. And it's one of those things where like I knew I know what it well, going into it about what to expect. Humorously, it seems like THQ themselves did not because shortly after the game came out, I remember reading a report about them being disappointed in the financial like, earnings of the game and I'm like, "What did you expect?"
Yeah. It's another classic THQ Nordic L where it's like, yeah, we'll spend all this money on an IP that nobody cares about. We'll hire two I don't know when they got David Harbour for this. I assume this was pre or just around like Black Widow, so they probably didn't pay that. You know what I mean? Like he wasn't as big
Yeah,
as
yeah.
he is now, but they still
Wasn't
would
a
have
post
spent.
MCU acquisition.
Yeah, still not. Yeah, but still way too much money on these actors that you don't need. And then it's just like for what a middling like 68 on Metacritic or whatever it is.
Yeah, middling
Um,
horror game that didn't have like it didn't have a broad normie appeal, so you
yeah,
didn't make your money back and all of that. Like,
fascinating. The era
yeah,
of THQ Nordic from like 2018 to like 2024, like 23 is forever an interesting one. Forever like just an era filled of why.
yeah, yeah, and like from then on, it's mostly just been hemorrhaging as
Yeah.
they learn the consequences of why.
Yeah, I mean to bring it over to my next one that I've got here is also a THQ Nordic one. Saints Row 2022.
Oh yeah,
Uh catch you all up to speed if you're new here. I'm a pretty big. I don't know, I like Saints Row. I'm a Saints Row fan. Um,
I'm
I
cautiously um looking forward to this new one
yeah,
at first.
I was yeah. I love Saints Row 3. I love Saints Row 4. Saints Row Gat Out of Hell is a fun little expansion. I like Saints Row 2. I liked how it was just GTA if it was just stupid. and you know, it had a fun co-op mode. There'd be stupid guns, you know, good time. Saints Row reboot comes around. I'm like, okay, you know, I'm willing to give it a go, the benefit of the doubt. And then it comes out and it's apparently horrible and it's awful and it's really, you know, it's like it is literally a jack of all trades, master of none. It is no longer funny. It is no longer over the top. It is no longer out there. But also, they haven't replaced that with a good story or a grounded set of characters. They've literally have just made literally the perfect game. It's like if they had a Venn diagram of, you know, old Saints Row and new Saints Row, and they were trying to find that perfect slot in the middle, they were about half a mile down the street. Like, they were, like, completely off the chart. And I just remember seeing all those previews. I was just like, I don't know. I'll play it when it's super cheap. And now it has been super cheap forever. It has been given away for free on Epic and all that jazz. And, you know, even Suicide Squad, a game that was lambasted by critics and quite frankly has been given away for free everywhere again. Even that, I was like, I'll give it a go. How bad could it be? The answer was very, but I did give it a go. Saints Row is one of those ones where it insulted me that it was that bad to begin with, when now I'm like, I still have that curiosity of, I'd like to play it. It's Volition's last game that they ever made and stuff like that, where I'm like, I'm interested in it.
Yeah.
But also, it insults me that that's the end of it. You know, like,
Yeah.
I can't bear the idea of playing it and then going, and that's it of that franchise. I'd rather just sit on the memories of 2, 3, and 4 and just be like, yeah, cool.
Yeah. I know what you mean, because like, oh, it's a bummer when franchises are solid and then end on something that's like super lame.
It's like if, and you know, I might be dating myself here if anything happens at the Game Awards. I don't know. This is pre-Game Awards, by the way, this pre-record. Sorry, ruining the immersion. But, you know, it's like if Crash ended with Crash Team Rumble, for
Yeah.
example. If we never got a Crash game ever again, I'm fairly certain we will. But, you know, if Crash Team Rumble was the last thing to ever get from Crash Bandicoot, if I get to, you know, if I'm 80 years
Or
old
even
and I
like
go
a
on the Crash
similar,
Bandicoot Wikipedia page and the last thing you see is 2023 Crash Team Rumble, that's a sad sight. That's a sad sight.
yeah, or even like a simpler situation before the Insane trilogy. If the last thing was Mind Over Mutant,
Yeah.
yeah, it
At
was
least that's a
equally as
full
depressing.
platformer, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's,
yeah,
you know, that's not a spin-off online multiplayer thing. So yeah, it sucks when something that you like kind of ends on a whimper. But you know, that's the THQ Nordic way, baby. Rock and roll.
sure is.
Destroy all humans, anybody? Right. What's next,
All
Hunter?
right, so the next one I've got here are just blanket statements of the Game Boy Castlevania games. Mostly because I have these available to me. I have the Anniversary Collection or whatever that has like Castlevania 1, 2, 3, and a bunch of them pre
Mm-hmm.
Rondo of Blood, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And I played a bunch of those at the beginning of this year. I like 1 through 3, Super Castlevania 4, all of those. I started to play, or I turned on one of the Game Boy ones, whichever one was probably first in the list there,
Yeah.
for a second. It kind of hurt my eyes, so I turned it off.
Yeah. That's fair.
Um, and
Valid
then
critique.
it's one of those things where it's like, I know they're probably not very good. They're like fine at best because that's what Game Boy games are. They are lesser versions of the things that they're,
Yeah,
the console equivalent of.
totally.
But also, I have them there. I've almost played all of them that are on the collection. I kind of want to do it just to say I did. It's one of those things. They can't be that long because they're Game Boy games.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
I feel you. I
Yeah.
feel you. Um, it's I have a say. It's I wouldn't call it a morbid curiosity because a lot of people actually consider the games to be very good, but it's like Spyro's got a bunch of GBA games that were considered really good at the time, the Season of Ice, Season of Flame, stuff like that, where it's like, you know,
Yeah.
it's like I feel like I should play that. It's a series I like, and it's stuff that's there, and I feel like I should play them, even when those stuff is good. But then I'm also just sitting there and I'm going, there are some things, especially when I feel like with old handheld games, like Game Boy games, where I'm like, sometimes though, the magic is being there. It's being in that time where that is, it's like, when you're playing like Pokemon Fire Red on the Game Boy SP or whatever, you're sitting there and you're going, this is handheld gaming. It doesn't get better than this. Whereas
Yeah,
now
yeah.
you're looking at it with a whole new eye of, oh god, this is Castlevania, but if it made me have migraines and it played at half the speed, what am I doing?
Yeah, yeah. Or like Metroid Fusion is kind of an example of what you were talking about a second ago. I had to keep in mind while I was playing that one. I really liked Metroid Fusion,
Mhm.
but I had to keep in mind, with all the kind of structural differences as far as it being a lot of the levels being more bite-sized at helping you out where to go more. I'm like, yeah, this is probably all because it was a handheld Metroid game instead
Yeah.
of, being on a console where you just, leave you to your own devices to screw off because you're more likely to have played it in a, longer session as opposed to, on the bus ride or whatever you might have been doing on a Game Boy.
Yeah. 100%. Sometimes you gotta take stuff with a grain of salt, but also sometimes you also just gotta accept that, hey, this was cool to have Castlevania on the Game Boy when it came out, but now, especially playing it in a
Maybe not
modern
so much.
collection on a big screen TV, maybe not.
Yeah. Play it
You
through
know?
like the lens of some sunglasses or something. Maybe that'll dampen the
Dude,
effect.
I'll give you an example of something that was at the time considered revolutionary and now could not touch you with a 10-foot barge pole, and I never will. Shenmue.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Shenmue is the kind of game where if it was made literally like 10 years ago with a modern control scheme, that's the kind of game that's right up Ethan's alley. Do you like random rubbish mini games? Do you like 1980s Japan and China? Do you like random, slice of life kind of relationship dynamics? Yes, I do. Let
You
me
know you
in.
would like that because those are the Yakuza games.
It's Yakuza, but older. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah. It's like, I know I'd like it, but, also, have you looked at Shenmue now? The voice acting's dire. The gameplay is awful. Shenmue 3 is, the perfect example
Oh,
of
remember when that got announced and it was like a big deal for half a
it was
minute?
the same E3 as Final Fantasy VII Remake, and people were equally hyped. That was the
Yeah.
two-part headline, Hunter, was 7 Remake and Shenmue 3. People were thrilled.
Last Guardian got re-revealed there too.
Yeah, but yeah, it's like that is the perfect example to me of a game where it's like if that game was made in 2015 and was a more modern style video game, man, I feel like Shenmue would be up my alley. But then when I look at any piece of gameplay of it and you just look at how bad the controls are and how awful the writing is and how bad the dialogue is, and you sit there and it's like you just got to sit there and you've just got to go, man, this game was like it was a game changer for so many people, but I also respect that, my god, is it not aged well at all.
You had to be there, and sadly, we weren't
You
there.
had to be there, sadly we weren't, and I feel like I sit there and I'm like, at least, this it's accessible for people can play it, that's cool. um I'm sitting there like, man, I wish there were other games from that time that were doing similar stuff that were easily accessible, like Tokimeki Memorial. Flipping dub that, Konami, cowards, do it. I'll
Yeah.
play the random, random Konami, slice of life Sims from the 1990s. I'll play that. I'll happily play that.
You know what's funny? Because like with the way Konami's been, I think if somebody went to them and asked if they could do that, they'd be like, "Yeah, all right,"
Tim
because that
Rogers.
seems to be their policy.
You know what Tim Rogers said he would. That was what was really funny. It was in his 6-hour review. He was like, I'm there is no surprise at the end of this video. I've not made an English localization of this video game. I'm not doing it for free. And then he literally looks to camera and goes, but if you want to pay me, Konami, I'll do it. And then, so I'm like, but I feel like someone should, that's free
Yeah.
real estate, free real
Yeah,
estate.
that video details a whole lot of reasons that that game went on to be the, hiddenly the most influential game ever or something.
It is one of the most influential games of the 1990s. So yeah, it's fascinating little game, and so is Shenmue. Shenmue also fascinating game, and it did revolutionize a lot of stuff. It's just a shame that unfortunately we had to let it go. We left it in the annals of history. At least that's how I'm saying we definitely left it, dude. We left it. It's gone.
Yeah, we left it
Ignore
behind.
it. It can't hurt you.
We
We
Shin
left it.
moved on.
Yeah, yeah, you got it. Where are we going next? Where are we Shen moving on to?
So this is one uh that came out in the past couple of years, and it's mostly just one that has my memory and curiosity because of it coming out around the time I saw a different game. Steel Rising is this game that I feel like I saw around the same time I saw one of the first trailers I saw for Lies of P. And they look remarkably similar in some ways as far as they're going for similar kind of things. Lies of P very much has more sauce than Steel Rising. Steel Rising
True.
comes off way closer to generic Souls like, but it also happens to be happening during like the French Revolution or something.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things, I think because it came out before, well before Lies of P, I almost halfway thought of giving it a go just because I was like, oh, I'm kind of
Mhm.
looking forward to that one. Maybe I'll give this one a try.
Yeah.
Kind of deal. I've never pulled the trigger on it. It's another one that has been available for free because, of course, it is.
Of course.
But, you know.
I was gonna say, when you said the name Steel Rising, like that's a plus game. That's the first thing that came to my head was that was a plus game. It's in my
Yeah.
inventory. It's in my inventory. My God, it's in my account inventory.
Yeah.
I am Shenmue.
That is a humorous way to describe digital game collection, to be fair.
It's in my inventory. Yeah, dude. It's on the PlayStation tab of my inventory, dude. Don't worry about it. Yeah. Anyway. But yeah, Steel Rising. It's funny because it is, 2022. It's not that long ago, but also it is, far enough away where the idea of other people trying to do Souls likes was still at least a tiny bit novel. Whereas now it literally has in 3 years. It's just the floodgate is like every other month. There's
Yeah,
like
no kidding.
5 of them.
You know what the
Back,
funny
yeah,
thing is because it's, if they had waited a couple of years, or if this game had come out like next year or something, they might have more going for them because Expedition 33's made everyone love France now.
true. Um, next up for me, similar situation. It's a game that came out. We were probably going to play it. Covered it on the podcast. Universally hated. Forspoken.
I got that one on the list too.
Just because this is one of those ones where it's a morbid curiosity, just because I feel like this game can't be as bad as people think it is. This screams to me like
I
this is
was
going to be like the most
interested
average
in
video
it
game. Yeah.
before, and
Mhm.
like it was one of those things where, whatever, it didn't seem to be worth the, full asking price or whatever, and other stuff came out to change my, to, make me not care to get it. But,
Totally.
now that I could play it free of any additional cost, um, you know, I could probably at least go and find the part that I, see whatever I thought might have been interesting through.
Yeah. I own it. It's in my little PS. It's right there, I think.
Yeah.
I bought the game, then decided at the very last minute, like the copy had already shipped to my house, and I was like, no, I don't feel like playing this because it's 2023. I'm gonna be playing Final Fantasy 16, and
Everything.
yeah, but still playing Final Fantasy 16, and there was still a small piece of copium where I was like, we could also be getting 7 Remake Part 2 this year because there was the hope that they were both coming out in the same physical year, like the same year,
The same
financial year.
financial year.
So I was like, there's a chance. So I don't want to play 3 Square Enix JRPGs. So I'll drop this one, and I sent it back. And then quite literally like 6 or 7 months later, I repicked up a copy for like $5. So I'm like, okay, I'm glad I made that investment,
$5.
because that was not a good investment, because it was like it was like a $70 game. Like, my God.
Yeah,
Um,
$70 game that didn't do very well. People didn't like it. It didn't, you know, sell very well, and the team that made it got shut with their
another Square Enix victory.
Square Enix special there, with their
Um,
resume being Final Fantasy 15 and Forspoken. Ouch.
Nothing but bangers, mate. Nothing but bangers. Only the best for you. Only the
But no,
best.
there is something about that game that fundamentally, like, moving around in it looked cool. I believe is the part that drew me to it. It looked like it was cool to move around.
Yeah. From the demo when I played it, the movement was fun. The combat wasn't that interesting to me. That was the bit that kind of um brought me back. But it's interesting. It's one of those, early PS5 showcases. Early console showcases are usually either, pretty cool or sometimes a miss. Seems like that one was a bit of a miss, but I don't think it's as bad as everybody makes it out to be. I doubt it very much so. It seems to be one of those 6 out of 10 games where everyone decided, no, let's be extremely hyperbolic about the whole thing. It's the worst thing ever made. I don't think it is. Okay? It probably isn't even the worst thing Square Enix released that year. Let's be real here. Let's go deep. Let's dig deep, guys. Let's dig deep.
Yeah, like, they do just love shotgunning things out.
Hell yeah, dude. Is anyone still playing Foam Stars? Where are my 3 Foam
I was
Stars
about to
found?
ask if that came out that year or the following.
It was 2024. We all know. What? No,
Oh.
actually, yeah, it was. It was 2024. It was February 2024, wasn't it? Um,
Mhm.
if I got this right, I'm actually looking this up. If I got this right,
Yeah, it had to be
February
because that
6th. It was
stupid.
February 6th. I
Yeah,
hate my life.
because the debut trailer happened on that really disappointing PlayStation showcase.
Oh, hell yeah, yeah. The 2023 one.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
remember. I remember. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
just
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
worked backwards there for a second. I'm like, oh, it all makes sense now.
Oh, yeah, I get you. I get you. Where are we going to next?
So, in a similar kind of case to Forspoken, I think this is a game that came out the same year, actually. What was it called?
It's a
Lost
good
it. It's
start.
another one that kind of just came to me. Um,
Describe.
Immortals of Avium. That's
There
what
you
it's
go.
called.
Yeah, yeah,
The
yeah,
kind
yeah. The
of like
EA
first
game.
person, the magic first person shooter, where it's a first person shooter, but you're shooting magic.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That kind of
Doom, but
thing.
with
Where,
magic powers. Yeah. Boop, boop. Yeah.
yeah, and like that kind of, generally speaking, kind of appealing. I like Doom. I like magic.
Mhm.
It seemed kind of cool. It's just another one where it got lost in the shuffle of the torrential releases of 2023, and I never found the occasion to try it. And it's
Yeah,
also
yeah.
like as it came out and stuff, it's like, oh, writing here, kind of meh. But it's one of those things where if I played it, probably wouldn't be a deal breaker for me if the action was good enough.
It's hard because magic. I don't know if this is a controversial take. I think magic in video games is really hard. I think it's really hard to make magic
Be tough.
satisfying. There's a lot like it's
I know what you mean.
you've got two methods of magic in video games. You've either got like extremely clunky, kind of like levitating things around and puzzle solving, and then the other option usually is just it's a fancy gun. You
Yeah,
press a button, it's a fancy gun. And sometimes I think the fancy gun works better, but also can also be a little bit boring. So I'm like, I don't know. It's
yeah.
a hard
Like
balance.
Ghostwire Tokyo is one where visually speaking, the magic looked kind of cool, but at a gameplay level, there was no feedback, no sauce that made it
Mhm.
gratifying. Even down to switching the types of attack that you were doing didn't really feel all that good. And to your point, magic usually isn't the kind of thing like I've never played. I ain't ever running magic when I go through the Dark Souls games. I ain't ever running magic if I replay Elden Ring. You know,
It's just
I
like
never pick those
yeah.
options.
It's like with the trailers for like Hogwarts Legacy and stuff like that, and all you just see is like blip 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 blip. It's just like it's a gun. It's a gun. You just blah 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 stupid blah 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 blah. And then it's like, okay, cool, whatever. What are we actually doing that's interesting? And I feel like with Magic, it's very hard to do that. I think FromSoft do for fair play to them. If you do use the magic stuff that they put in the games, it's pretty cool. There's a lot of cool stuff there.
Oh yeah, there
Um,
is like visually cool things, and the people who play with the magic really enjoy it. So they're doing a good job in that department. It's just uh, those are the kind of games where I'd get so much more visceral satisfaction from the melee options.
yeah, yeah. But no, I agree. It's one of the Immortals of Aveum is one of those very weird games where it's like no marketing behind it, just kind of shoved out there, doesn't meet expectations. What do you expect, EA? What do you expect?
Yeah,
Yeah, kind of wild. But no, magic in video games, will they ever get it right? Who knows?
yeah,
Who knows? I do think it's interesting. It would, it's not a morbid curiosity because I have no intention of playing it, though. But it's like, again, with like stuff like Hogwarts Legacy and stuff like that, where I'm like, how do you make that stuff fun? Like, how do you, fundamentally, how would you make it fun? Like, I have no interest in playing that video game because as someone who used to adore Harry Potter, doesn't matter. J.K. Rowling's kind of ruined that for me. So it's like, I can't
yeah,
go into that. Like, it's not even a morbid curiosity because I just can't, right? But it's like, how
yeah.
would you make it fun? How would you make magic fun? I don't know how you do it.
The Arrowhead, the Helldivers
Yeah, the Helldivers
developer,
lot.
had a game, Magica,
Oh, yeah.
I believe they made that. I thought that was a really clever system where you kind of put the two elements together or the
Mm-hmm.
combinations of stuff and shoot your little beam. The beam was functionally always kind of just the beam that you were shooting, but putting them together and stuff. I thought that was fun. But yeah, on a triple A level or double A level in the case of Immortals of Aveum or something, people need more razzle dazzle or whatever to feel like it's worth it. But I thought they did a cool job with that game. I thought that was neat. Thought it was real clever that way.
Yeah, I feel again, it's like you can do some cool stuff. Like sandbox ideas would be great, but again, it's like it's very hard. It's very hard. It's very hard. And who knows? I don't know. Maybe WB Montreal did a good job. I don't know. But also, it's a fucking Ubisoft sandbox, isn't it? I don't care. Do you think I'm going to come onto this podcast and say, "Oh, do you know what's a morbid curiosity to me? A Ubisoft-like video game." Get out, mate.
Yeah.
I don't have any curiosity for a Ubisoft-like, bro. No.
Yeah,
Ugh.
Ubisoft game like Assassin's Creed is a morbid obligation for you, not a
Yeah.
curiosity.
Dude, I'm already in those minds. I do not need more. I'm just grateful that I'm not, stuck in the Harry Potter minds, dude. That's what I'm happy about, My goodness. But anyway, moving on from that, because in the big old 2025, still not a controversial topic, still no
Yeah.
controversy there, none whatsoever. Hey, who's a big fan of HBO? Shall we do it again, guys? One more time?
Oh. Oh.
Maybe this cast won't hate me, as long as they're not
Yeah.
online because they're 11. Anyway, for me, speaking of children's franchises that adults do not grow out of, give me an M, give me an A, give me an R, give me a V, give me it's Marvel Rivals, dude. Marvel Rivals,
Oh,
because
okay.
I am
I thought
big
you were
over.
going somewhere about Pokemon for a second.
No. I have no curiosity for that franchise. But I do agree that they are absolutely they are rabid. I do think it's like Pokemon adults are like on Harry Potter adult levels, where I am kind of sitting there and I'm going, I understand. Can you like something to a normal extent? Just a normal extent. You know what I mean? Where it's
They
like,
get they get so weirdly defensive.
yeah, I think I think it's fine to be a sicko about something every once in a while, but that shouldn't be the default. That shouldn't be the default.
Yeah.
Like, my goodness, chill a little. Be like, I don't know, Lord of the Rings. I think Lord of the Rings fans are pretty chill. I think they're pretty chill. I feel like if you say to them, I like Lord of the Rings, then they'll be like, hell yeah. But they don't come at you. Whereas I feel like Pokemon fans, they like rugby tackle you to the ground.
Yeah.
But yeah, Marvel Rivals, I was a big Overwatch fan. Still am a big Overwatch fan whenever I go back to it once every year or so and dabble a little bit. So Marvel Rivals should have been right up my alley, but there was something, I don't know. Tencent getting them, you know, Tencent already is in my mind.
10 centing all over the place.
Yeah, like anything that's got Tencent involved, I already get a bit like of it, because I don't like the idea of consolidation in the industry, especially when it's all coming from a singular company that might have uh, differing interests to, you know, the
Definitely didn't have the
majority
interest of the dev team in
of the
mind.
world. Yeah, 100%. Um, and it just kind of felt like, oh, it's Overwatch but with Marvel characters, so it's popular. So I was like, I don't know. If this was an original IP, if Tencent had come out with an original IP that was like, oh, it's like Overwatch, in a similar way to Valorant, right? Where it's like, you know, oh, it's Valorant
Oh,
is
yeah.
essentially what if CS:GO and Overwatch had a baby. Um, that very much looked more like CS:GO, you know? It's like one of those ones. Um,
Yeah.
where it's like, we'll give it the idea, we'll give it a touch of Overwatch, but it's mainly CS:GO with fancy powers. And if you know, if Marvel Rivals was that, then I probably would have been more willing to give it a go. It just felt like, you know, it's just like it's Overwatch, but with Marvel and cash grabs. And here's the 6 million skins. Do you want to play as Amazing
Yeah.
Spider-Man, Peter Parker? Do you want to play as this? Do you want to do this? Do you want to? And you know, I don't know. It's just everything just kind of looked off. I still think it when I've not played it, so I don't know if it feels good to play. But when I watch the animations, they all look kind of cheap. They all kind of look a bit stilted. It just nothing feels, and I don't know if this is just because I'm a spoiled little boy who played this hero shooter that was made by Blizzard, who kind of have a knack for trying to make the prettiest and most fluid, you know, projects of all time. You know, they love making everything flashy. Overwatch, from a design perspective, is beautiful. And it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just like me being like, "Ooh, you're third person and you look a bit crap." No, thank you. But it's just like, I
You're
don't
also
know.
someone who is largely over Overwatch at this point and also
True.
over Marvel conceptually, so it's like a double non-starter.
It is a double non-starter in that regard, and you know, I don't have as much time in my life anymore for video games, let alone multiplayer games. And it's like I feel like I have, you know, I have a little bit of time for Overwatch once every year or two. I have, you know, the annual or, you know, semi-annual, you know, return to Destiny for a week where I see what's been happening in that and I go, "Oh, this would be fun if I had 5 friends that committed full time to it." But, you know, don't have that. Um it just isn't in the wheelhouse. And I think for my friends, obviously, you know, I've got pretty casual friends. We play Call of Duty just because it's the big, you know, it's the most popular first person shooter at the, you know, so we play it or whatever. And it's like, even they're like, yeah, but it just seems a bit too much effort, doesn't it? And I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
I can feel it. So yeah, I'm sure I'd like it enough. I'm sure I'd get some enjoyment out of it. But also I feel like like you say, Hunter, I think you know, I've run out of track there. I feel like I've burnt out
Yeah.
on that kind of formula with Overwatch.
Yeah. And it's like the designs, like they don't feel like they're bringing anything special to like the visual design of any of these
Mm,
heroes either, where
yeah, yeah.
opposed to like that Marvel Token Souls game that's coming out in a year or two, or whatever. At least those they got like a spin to everything, where
Yeah.
uh, Marvel Rivals is kind of what you would expect them to look like, and also a shark.
And also a shock. Um but yeah. How many more have you got, Hunter? You got many more?
Um, I'm kind of just down to things that I did try out here and there,
Oh,
but I've
I
got like
mean,
two of those.
I've still got a couple that I haven't played if you want.
Yeah,
Morbid
sure.
Curiosity number one. These are more rapid fire. Number one, Final Fantasy 14. Not a bad video game. But this is why this is Morbid Curiosity, is because the Morbid Curiosity to me, Hunter, is I've seen what's happened to Kyle. Right? He has basically given up video games for one video game. You know what I mean? Like he will play his occasional fighting games. He will play his eventual, you know, the JRPG or two that come out in a year, he'll play them or whatever. But like 90% of his time, he's just in there like a little, little weasel. Like he's in the weeds. He's vibing with the Final Fantasy 14 with the little weird elf people, and I'm like, I don't know what this is, and I'm scared of it. I'm scared. That's what it is. It's like. It's scare. It's prejudice. I'm scared of Final Fantasy 14 players because where do they get the time? Where do they get the
It's
time?
insane. Like it's Final Fantasy 14, and broadly, like I've started it a couple of different times where my siblings and I thought it was going to be a thing we did together, and it ended up not being. But I got to varying different degrees of far, and it's never super far. But it's one of those things where, it definitely seems like a good game. It certainly was like the most well liked MMO for a long time. If I had the time to play it, I'm sure I would like it. But
They
also,
give you enough of it for
I
free so you can get hooked,
yeah.
don't they?
Oh
Like,
yeah. There's another thing. I could just do all the free stuff and be
But
well
every
on
year
my.
the free stuff
I would play
increases.
it.
It grows, Hunter. The free stuff
Yeah,
grows.
yeah.
You can't
Every year,
escape.
free stuff increases and grows. That's the thing. Is like if I at the rate I would play it, I would never run out of free stuff. Is
Yeah.
the insane thing. But it's one of those things where I just simply do not have the time. Uh, I wish I did. It seems like they do some really cool things in the story and all of that, but I would need like video games to stop coming out for an entire year.
Yeah. It's a game, like I say. The morbid curiosity is, again, it's almost into the lives, the psyche of the individual that plays a MMO like Final Fantasy 14. Just because I just can't, I don't know, maybe I have commitment issues where it's just like I could not commit to a singular game like that for that long and just keep the passion going. It'd be a lot, I'm scared
That's
to
the
do
funny
that.
thing too, is like when I was younger, I played World of Warcraft for definitely longer than I tried out Final Fantasy 14, and I still never level maxed a character there. Like I'd always just quit eventually,
Yeah.
either because of circumstances or because I didn't feel like it. You know?
Yeah. But no, I fear for those who play it because I'm just like, fair play. I massive respect, but my goodness, that's a terrifying prospect for me, and I don't think I shall be
Yeah.
partaking. Thank you very much. Um, Here's one that genuinely does scare me, and I don't know how much you know about it. Bit of a, not necessarily a deep cut, but VR chat.
Oh yeah, yeah. I know the idea.
Now, this is something that I played for about 2 hours. So for those of you who don't know, VR Chat is a game that started off as a VR game. You don't have to have VR, but it literally is the internet, the video game. You just go into chat rooms as a character, most of them not licensed. You go in as Mario or whoever you want to go in as, and you just start talking to strangers online. I had a friend who I went to high school with, who this was just shortly after COVID, I feel like. I tried catching up with them, trying to, get back in touch. He was like, you should come on VR chat. And I went on it. And as somebody who suffers from anxiety, it was quite possibly the worst experience of my life. It is like, just get chucked in with not only like hundreds, like, 100 strangers, but it's like 100 extroverted strangers who want to, like, just be in your zone, like, be in your personal space. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
nope, nope, nope. So, but the concept of it, it's like, I know people who have made friends with this stuff, and I know, but I've also know it's like it's one of those things where I sit there. It's a bit similar to Discord, where I go, stuff like this does amazing things. Where it's like, friendships are made with this kind of stuff. There are, so many cool like fan creations and custom made content, but there's also the horrors of it. There's the terrible things that
Oh yeah,
happen.
I imagine.
There's the exploitation. There's all that. There's so much stuff where it's like again, it's like morbid curiosity. It's like if I was extroverted, I would love to just go in there again and try and figure out the kinds of people that are doing that. Why are you doing that? What do you get out of this? What's your story? It's like a remnant
He
of,
wants to do a full on like report on
yeah,
it.
like a documentary, you know what I mean? It's almost like it feels to me like a last remnant of the old internet. Like when you'd hop into a
Yeah, yeah.
multiplayer
That's what
game.
It feels like the final form of like one of those old browser games, like Second Life or something.
Yeah, or like, it's like it's the remnants of like the Xbox 360 party, like, like game chats and all that jazz, where it's like where people used to just
Yeah,
talk to strangers. I'm not talking about the horrible like things that they say to each other, but like just the idea of, oh yeah, I go online and I talk to strangers and game with strangers and have these experiences. There's a literal morbid curiosity there of who are the people that are there, because I'm sure that there are. I'm sure that in a game like VR Chat, there are 100 incredible people to like one or two really shady individuals, right? But it is just like it's a weird mishmash of like it is the wild west of the internet. Um,
yeah,
so there's a bit of a curiosity there. Um, my two final ones are a bit of a joke pick here, Hunter. But you know what? I'll vibe with you. Uh, the joke pick is anything Sonic, because that's a fan base and a well that I do not want to dive into. I don't
yeah. I know
care.
what you mean, and that's one of those things where like I'll eventually play a Sonic game, just because I feel like the lad has been around in the history of video games too much for me to
I
not
technically
at
have.
least play one of them. Probably
I played
like it'll
two.
be an old one or
Yeah, yeah.
Mania, probably, but
Yeah, I played two. I played Sonic Heroes and I played Sonic and All Stars Racing Transformed, and I like both of those games. I think if my parents had actually bought me more Sonic games as a kid, I probably would be a Sonic fan, which is,
no.
sad to say.
Imagine the way the trajectory of your life would change.
Dude, yeah, unfortunately for me, I am definitely the kind of person who is probably on that side of the spectrum where I would be a Sonic fan if I was indoctrinated at a young age, but unfortunately I wasn't.
Yeah.
Um, and by the time I did get around to seeing it, it was stuff like, look, here's Shadow the Hedgehog, he has a gun, and I'm like, that's pretty lame. Like, I was already at that stage of my life. Um, but hey ho. But the main one, DK64. If there's a platformer where it's the morbid curiosity hunter, it is
Yeah,
Donkey Kong 64. That's the one for
yeah,
me.
I know what you mean, right? Like, it's one of those things too, because it feels like despite the fact that going 100% for that game would be an exercise in self-harm, it
Yeah,
feels
yeah.
like you can't go halfway with it if you try it,
If you're
you
going
know?
into if you're going to play Donkey Kong 64, you got to do it the way God intended, and you're gonna 100% it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, come on out, Chunky. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Lanky
Oh,
Kong, out you come. Kiddy Kong, it's your time. Like, everybody's coming out. The whole family is here.
it's
We'll
one of
make
those
up
ones
new
where I would
Kongs, dude. That's what we'll do. It's like,
yeah.
yeah, I'm gonna play it that much. We'll find Grangly Kong or whoever. I don't know.
It's so annoying too because like I feel like if a I don't know, this wouldn't happen obviously, but like a port that just lets you switch them
Mm-hmm.
on the fly would make that game like at least 25% less tedious.
100% it would. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's like that infamy, and I know it's a lot. I'm sure some people are sitting there going, "Hey, I feel the same way about 106% in Crash 4," and I'm like, you know what? Fair play. I 100% understand that, because that is a 70-hour like task that is not for the faint of heart. But at least Crash 4 plays well. The difference is that Donkey Kong 64 is just a disaster. But
Yeah.
it's one that I'm still curious about, and I hope that one day, um, you know, when I'm at the pearly gates or whatever, and my life flashes before my eyes, there is a split section that is me 100% in Donkey Kong 64 Hunter. That's my hope, is that I do one day experience it.
Yeah. Or at least if it comes to like NSO or something, I can try it long enough to see how far I make it before I tap out.
That's also a very valid idea. Um, you have a few more before we wrap it up?
So these are ones that I actually ended up like playing just rapid fire to some extent, you know. One of them was one I was interested before it came out to middling reviews, and then I eventually played it anyway. That being Thymesia, which was another He Who someone making a Bloodborne knockoff, essentially.
You can put that in the timestamps, mate. I'm not even going to attempt to spell
Yeah,
that one out.
yeah. I'll get it. But mostly I was fascinated because the main character was a plague doctor and it had some cool looking action in the trailer I saw. So when it turned out that it was just kind of 0 calorie Bloodborne, I was like, all right, fine. Eventually played it when it was on the extended plus subscription. And I was like, yeah, that was about what I expected. It was
Yeah.
all right. You know, it's one of those things that I was glad I played it because it gave me like perspective on what makes the good ones good, and this one just kind of average.
Yeah, totally. Understand it.
Yeah. After that, I've got Greedfall, which is one of those similar kind of heard
Yeah.
about it before it came out. Came out to middling reviews. Played it. I think I gave this game a solid weekend. Well, this game was like a fantasy RPG that kind of
Yeah.
felt like it was taking place in an alternate history version of like Explorer era history,
Yeah.
essentially,
Yeah.
where you're going to a new place um, from alternate world Europe or something, trying to like help this place colonize. And it seemed like the general plot was going to be the typical Last Samurai native sympathizers, the kind of thing where you probably make a choice based
Mhm.
on whether you want to stick with your boys from across the pond or with the people who live here, kind of deal. I didn't make it that far. That's just kind of what I'm assuming. Uh, Something about the characters just was kind of sauceless. It didn't
Yeah.
compel me in the way that like a Dragon Age or something would. The combat was kind of cool. That kept me going for longer than I think it would have otherwise, but I think
Fair enough.
there was nothing compelling me forward about it. I think I've never confirmed whether I saw the actual where the story was going, but I feel like I did.
That's enough
Uh
sometimes. That's enough.
yeah. Kingdoms of Amalur, similar situation, except I had hands on this game way back in the day when it was PS3. Played it for like an hour, a few hours. When it got re-released, I was like, I kind of liked that when I played it. I picked it up, played it for a little bit more than that, and then dropped off because of playing a new release or something. I don't remember what came out at the time,
The
but
curse of
you
the
know,
podcast. Yeah.
yeah, same kind of thing where it was like the action was cool, but nothing about it really compelled me forward beyond that. It felt in a lot of ways like a single player MMO with like an action RPG kind of
Mm.
gameplay loop where you're doing the cool fights and whatnot, but you're just going from town to town picking up these quests and leveling up in a way that like the story they present you isn't all that interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Fair enough. Is that the last one?
Yeah, that would be the last one I got there.
Well, there you go then, ladies and gentlemen. Quite a few Morbid Curiosity games, more than I thought we would get in the end of it. But hey, they just keep flowing. I'm sure if we sat here for longer, we could fill it up even more. I feel like we could do another hour.
Give us a couple of years, and I'm sure some more will spawn.
Yeah, but that's yeah. Let us know, ladies and gentlemen. Do you have any Curiosity games? Any Morbid Curiosity games? Any games that you don't want to try for whatever reason, whether they be bad, whether they just be bonkers, or you're just scared for your life in playing them. Who knows? Interesting.
Yeah.
I will put all links on screen right now. There you go. You can go and follow us on socials if you want to keep up to date with what we do outside of the podcast. And yeah, with that, we'll leave it there, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out with us this week. We'll be back, same time, same place, next week for more. But hey, until then, have yourselves an awesome week. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Bye.
Toodaloo.